All right, friends, welcome to these few minutes of meditation practice that we get to spend together. And so wherever you are physically in your spot, I would just encourage you just to settle physically, mentally, emotionally, just settle. Just imagine like when the water on the surface of the pond has been kind of stirred up and all of a sudden it gets really calm and really clear. It settles. So just allow yourself to do the same thing. The rushing and all the stuff of the day that kind of swirls within us and around us and sometimes through us. Just let it all settle. And begin to really find your way into this present moment. And begin to notice your breath as you settle. Use it as an ally, as a resource to make the process possible. And just slow and deep and steady. Give that concentration to your breath. We send our focus and our awareness and our concentration so many different directions within the day, and some are so worthy and so necessary. But honestly, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than giving our concentration, our attention, our awareness to the breath. And maybe it could become something that's not just during our meditation practice, but it could be a practice through all the parts of life. Just imagine the difference that it could make, how quickly it allows us to settle here. How can it also help you settle at work, in your human interactions, in the traffic that you encounter each day, whatever that looks like. And so we're going to spend just these few minutes that we have today going back to this quote that I often use from the yoga mat. And I kind of put a different idea on this quote when it comes to our practice. And this quote says that your yoga practice is not about touching your toes. It's about what you learn about yourself on your way down toward those toes. In those moments as a yoga practitioner, you learn patience. You also learn where you get frustrated. You learn how to be compassionate as you softly bend those knees and you relax those shoulders and you hang that head heavily. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn what you hold on to. You learn what maybe you're not quite yet willing to let go of. And so I think we can take that quote and we can really apply it to our meditation practice. And so the words I chose that I thought really connected, it says, our meditation practice is not about how many minutes we sit on the metaphorical cushion. It's about what we learn about ourselves in the moments when restlessness and wandering of the mind comes. Because it does. It doesn't matter how long we've been practicing this. It doesn't matter how often we show up. The body will get restless. The mind will wander. A sound will come up in the next room and your distraction will get really loud and really influential. And so our practice, this meditation thing that we do, it is not about how many minutes you log on the cushion. It's what you learn about yourself, especially in the minutes when you get a little restless. Is it like when you're trying to reach down and touch your toes that you get a little frustrated? You kind of chastise yourself of, why can't I just be still? Why can't I just focus? Why can't I turn this mind off? And in the same way, we chastise ourselves for not being able to reach our toes. We've got to learn to take this practice and apply grace and patience and compassion to it. And just like in your physical yoga practice, when you can do that, that forward fold becomes the sweetest posture of all. And so if you can apply that same grace and patience and compassion to your meditation practice, these can become the sweetest moments of your day. And so we're going to just sit just for the first little bit here, and then we'll come back together, we'll reframe, and then we'll sit a little more. And so let's just notice. Notice, what do we do, each of us, when the body starts to move or get restless? Or that knee starts to kind of talk to us about how it's positioned. Or those shoulders start to get a little heavy. Or that mind starts to go somewhere else. So in the next couple of just quiet moments, let's just be and notice. Notice what happens in between the moments, in between the breaths, and how we each respond to what happens. Shifting our awareness to our breath. Notice how it fills you up and expands those ribs, opens up that heart a bit. And then notice the freeing sensation as you just breathe out and let it all go. And as you pay attention to your breath, just reflect for these next few breaths how it felt to sit, and just notice what's going on. Did you, to use the metaphor, soften your knees a bit and allow yourself just to fold? Meaning, did you offer compassion when the mind began to wander and just gently bring it back? So what did you discover about yourself? What did I discover about myself? In that space in between each moment, each breath. One of the most beautiful parts of meditation is the self-awareness. It's like we're building up this capacity of our own awareness of self. I know we're aware of things around us. We hear the noises, we see the sights, we smell the sensations, we feel it on our skin. But what about the awareness of self? Do we know how we treat ourselves? Do we know how to encourage ourselves? Do we know how to extend love and grace and patience and compassion toward ourselves? Chances are those things won't happen in the middle of a busy day when all the other distractions are swirling around you. But the place that it can happen, and hopefully it will happen, is here. On this cushion, on this spot, in that familiar place where you find yourself, this is where we cultivate those things. And if we cultivate them here often enough, they'll start to show up in the other parts of life. And so again, we're not logging minutes. We're not mastering how many days in a row we can show up or how long we can sit. We're cultivating this beautiful, loving self-awareness of what do we do during this practice. Do we grip on and just grit our teeth and determine we will sit? Or do we breathe in love and breathe out patience? And do we breathe in grace and breathe out compassion? And so I'd ask that we all just sit a bit longer in the quiet, truly cultivating our self-awareness. And let's see if we can do it without judgment, without chastising ourselves for the need to adjust those hips, or the need to roll the shoulder just a bit, or to flutter the eyes and then gently close them again. There's not a prescription, a step 1, 2, and 3 to this practice. It's the showing up and the being. And then it's the adjusting and the being some more. So let's just sit, focused on our own self-awareness and how we respond to us. And as we continue to breathe, if it feels right or comfortable, just allow one of your hands just to come to heart center. And let that covering just represent that underneath that hand, underneath the skin, the bone, the tissue, deep down, even beyond the heart, is the core of who you are. This practice connects us to that core. We learn more about ourselves. And wouldn't it be an amazing place to be if what we discover in that core is that we really like sitting with that person. We like who he or she is. We like who he or she is becoming. And quite simply, we just like being with them. That to me is way more important than how many minutes you log. It truly is cultivating this relationship above all those other relationships out there in the world. Because when this one is right, the others begin to fall in place as well. So let's just end with one slow, deep breath in together. Breathing in the patience and the grace, and then exhale out the compassion, the acceptance, and the love. Let this practice leave that cushion or that spot where you are. Take it with you. And notice throughout your day what happens in those moments, in between the moments, in between the breaths, just for those split seconds. How do you feel? How do you respond? And how do you feel about this person that's looking back at you in the mirror? Let that be the focus of our practice, the focus of our self-awareness, and honestly, the focus of our joy. Namaste.